So our next step is to lay things out in Illustrator in this sort of pattern here. We're going to have all the adult specimens up here. The blank down here is for the juvenile specimens. You can see an idea of the labeling that I indicate. I'm using a Gilson's font here. But before we go ahead and talk about this, I'd like to look at the section here. Now this looks pretty good the way it's rendered out, except I find that all these shadows sort of confuse the issue a little bit. I'd like to focus on just the black area of the section more. So let's go back into Photoshop and figure out a way that we can do this. So here we have it. First thing I'm going to do is in the layers palette just drag this layer down onto the new layer button to make a copy of it. And we want to, in this layer on top, get rid of everything except for the black. And the easiest way to do that is to adjust its levels. We've done this before for other things, but if we go to Image, Adjustments, Levels, this is on the top layer, we pull the white point over just to the edge of this histogram here. You can see that it leaves us just with the black. You can say OK. Now, I'd kind of like to see this layer below. And I don't want to adjust the opacity of this layer on top, which I could do by adjusting this over here. And this could work quite well because the black is just overlaid on top of black. But another way we can do this is to change the blend mode of the one on top from normal here, which just means pixels on top occlude pixels below. But if we change it to multiply, that means black multiplies the pixels below by a value of 0, because black is 0, white is 1, and we're left with an overall view of black, where black was before. And where it's white, it multiplies by 1, so we get the exact same as before. So now essentially we should have really the same image that we started with. What we can do is now take this lower layer and adjust its opacity to kind of ghost it out a little bit, just to leave it in there enough to show us context. So I'm taking it maybe down to 25%, 30%, something like that. And now if we save out this image, first I'll save it as a Photoshop document. And then if I save it out again as a TIFF, I'm just going to give it another name. Faded. Oops, forgot to discard layers. Now if I go back into Illustrator, I'm going to use that one instead. So we'll jump sort of back in time and start laying this out again.